Elon Musk left the White House yesterday with his tail between his legs, not only because Doge was a failure, but because of the New York Times story, the scandal that broke yesterday about Elon Musk's drug use and abuse on the campaign trail with Donald Trump and in the White House during his time as a special government employee. Now, while Elon is trying to deny this story and cover it up, there's one thing that he can't stop, which is Democrats from holding him accountable for it in calling out his crimes, which is exactly what Jasmine Crockett just did. And it's the reason Elon Musk is melting down on Twitter. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, before we can get into Elon's meltdown, we have to start with Jasmine Crockett's call out, and that was on MSNBC in this clip right here.
Doge cuts have certainly been sweeping. According to a New York Times analysis, Doge has cut 99% of personnel at broadcaster Voice of America and USAID, as well as nearly half the workforce at the Department of Education and nearly a quarter of employees at HHS. As for the $2 trillion in savings Musk promised last fall, it's just $175 billion as of this week, according to Doge's website. Although the website has a history of dubious information, for instance, it claimed $8 billion in savings from a contract that was actually just $8 million and posted, quote unquote, receipts that saved no money. And there's no real evidence of the fraud Musk has pledged to find. The so-called fraud Doge touted was either previously uncovered or wildly overblown. Joining us now is the Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett, who serves on the House Doge Subcommittee. Congresswoman, welcome to the weekend. So just your thoughts on Elon Musk and his departure from Washington.
Hallelujah is what I gotta say. Is it Sunday? Let us all give thanks to the good Lord above. Listen, let me tell you something. He is gone, but the Musk is still going to linger in the air. We know, as you went through in your intro, that there are so many people that have been impacted by these ridiculous and not thought out cuts. And it's not just the federal workers. It's those constituents of ours, our citizens, that are being impacted the hardest by these cuts. And so here it is. You basically let this guy run wild. And honestly, I feel like all of the cuts to federal employees, that was nothing more than a distraction for the things that he really wanted to do, which is to make sure that there was no oversight over his companies, the companies that were under investigation. This was to kind of keep us busy and distracted. And unfortunately, in the process, we have harmed our federal government, and ultimately, we are harming our overall economy.
Yeah, Congressman, like you said, the damage has already been done. The people have been fired. A lot of those changes have been made. Is there any reason for folks to anticipate that at some point the Congress or someone will be able to claw back some of these jobs and policies that people really need around the country?
I mean, would you really want to work for the federal government at this moment? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, in reality, we have been down as it relates to some of our federal workforce anyway. This is one reason that the Biden-Harris administration invested so much money in the Inflation Reduction Act when it came to the IRS, because they wanted to make sure that those people that were best trained to do those complicated audits of people's taxes, basically the very, very rich, making sure that we had the best of the best to make sure that we could bring in additional income. In addition to that, while we've been talking about the reconciliation package and we've been talking about the cuts and how many people are going to potentially lose their health care or how many people are going to lose food off of their tables, one of the things that we've not been able to do, because there's, again, still so much in this terrible bill, is talk about things that happened in the Oversight Committee, such as deciding that they don't want federal government employees to have the protections that the federal court has acknowledged and said, hey, you've got to reinstate these federal employees. Instead, they want to change federal employees to at will. So a lot of the things that once attracted people to want to come and work for the federal government, they are disappearing as well as making them pay more into their FERS. So it's absolutely insane, and nobody wants to come work for us right now.
I first want to start by saying I feel like this is a bit of a quiet time. Congress isn't in session. A lot of people are taking a well-deserved break as summer starting, but Jasmine Crockett is still out there. I always just have to talk about how committed she is to being omnipresent on all platforms, using her voice and fighting back. We are so grateful to have Jasmine Crockett as a leader in our party, and so grateful that she is calling out Elon, bringing as much attention as possible to this story. Our government has been run by the most inept, unqualified, and clearly out of it people in our country, and Elon Musk is doing all he can to refute that. But in doing so, he's kind of just making our point, and we can see that in this very weird post right here. Elon wrote on Twitter, also, to be clear, I am not taking drugs. The New York Times was lying their ass off. I tried prescription ketamine a few years ago and said so on X. So this is not even news. It helps for getting out of dark mental holes, but haven't taken it since then. Well, that's just a straight up lie, as has been well documented through that New York Times story and commentary around not only the story, but Elon's response to it. Of course, that clip of Elon talking to Don Lemon has come up a lot, of Elon talking about how he regularly uses ketamine. So this isn't just something that happened a couple of years ago. This has been very, very recent, according to Elon and according to the bladder problems that he had on the campaign trail. You know, I talked about this in a previous video, but the mainstream media's obsession with the constant coverage of Joe Biden after his presidency is insane for many reasons, but the biggest of them all is that Donald Trump is the one actively in cognitive decline. Elon Musk was impaired by illegal drug use during his time in the White House and will continue to be while running a corporation taking billions of dollars from the government. And by the way, in case we did not know this, that means Elon Musk, by law, is not allowed to be taking these illicit substances and tweaking out all over the place while sending rockets up into the sky on our dime. So yeah, I think the mainstream media maybe needs to pay a little bit more attention to that. Maybe that's the more pressing issue right now. Clearly, Jasmine Crockett agrees that the mainstream media is a little distracted, maybe a little more than distracted, and she wanted to refocus them, talking about what really matters in this clip right here.
Congresswoman, yesterday in the Oval Office, it didn't exactly sound like Trump and Elon Musk were completely breaking up. He sounded like he might still be lingering in some unofficial capacity. Yet, you know, he had to end his special. He was at the final day as a special employee. How is the House Oversight Committee going to keep holding Doge and Elon Musk accountable?
You said keep. We never started. Doge was just a little pet project for Marjorie Taylor Greene to be able to say, hey, they gave me something. I've got a gavel. And so, you know, the last Doge hearing that we had, it was on trans folk doing fencing. I mean, we were talking to people that don't get any federal dollars whatsoever, and dealing with that. We have a Doge subcommittee hearing coming up, and it's to talk about NGOs and basically to go after them. We have had a hearing on PBS and talk about why it's important to quote unquote defund PBS. I mean, we've not dealt with those things. We have tried to subpoena Elon Musk before. The Republicans did not want to do that. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have your main man come in and tell us about all the great work that he's doing unless he absolutely isn't doing any great work. So listen, I think that unfortunately we're going to have to wait until the Democrats are in the majority, which will hopefully be in the midterms. And then we can absolutely bring Elon Musk in and we can have him under oath and we can have him tell us about everything that he did. Because as I've been home this week, to hear from my seniors that are concerned and don't have answers about how much information he had access to and what he did with that sensitive information, they are scared.
Congresswoman, have a listen to what Elon Musk had to say in an interview on Tuesday about his thoughts on the so-called big, beautiful bill that was passed by the House.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing. I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both.
Congresswoman, I have no question. Just hold forth.
Listen, I mean, I'm not necessarily besties with Elon, but when I can agree, I'm just going to agree because it's just the truth. The reality is that we saw when this bill passed the House, which it barely made it over the finish line, 215 to 214, we know that there were 2 Republicans that somehow went MIA. We know that 2 Republicans voted with us, and then we know that 1 Republican just voted present. And let me just tell you, even if a Republican voted with us, it wasn't for the same reasons, okay? But we got to the same result, which is that this is a big, bad bill, okay? And their reasons for saying, you know what, we're not going to vote for this is because they still want to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. And so what I have explained to people is that the cuts that they want to give to the rich folk in this country are so deep that even after cutting almost 14 million people off their health care and cutting over $300 billion out of SNAP benefits, as well as all the other ugly stuff. And we don't talk about the fact that they want to have this big chunk of money so that ICE agents can get approximately $42,000 a piece in a bonus. So we had money that was going up for crazy stuff. And then we also, of course, had to set aside enough money so that somebody could go golfing. I believe that the number may be $1 billion or so over the 4 years for him to be able to go golfing. This doesn't really make sense. And frankly, nobody has asked for these things to be their priorities. But there are fiscal, responsible Republicans that are saying, listen, I don't think they really care about the cuts, but they absolutely care about the fact that we still are needing to lift the debt ceiling and honestly have nothing to show for it.
As Mr. Whitson said, he said we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
It's time for
the
us
gentlelady's
to do our
time has
jobs
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's
as
time
Elon
has expired.
Once again, thank God for Jasmine Crockett doing the Lord's work. We need her out there, and we will always be elevating her voice on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.